Folks, in my 20 years in the league, I've never seen anything like this. What's happening right now isn't just some routine rumor, nor a simple speculative story. It's a seismic shift, an earthquake rippling through the NFL's very foundation. From inside sources I've cultivated over decades, from whispers in the corridors of power to secret meetings behind closed doors, I can tell you with absolute certainty. Something massive is about to explode, and it involves a player who, until recently, most thought was well past his prime. But what if I told you that the greatest linebacker of his generation, Bobby Wagner, is on the verge of a head-turning, game-changing move, one that could redefine the entire NFC landscape? This isn't just a rumor, folks. It's a carefully woven web of signals, leaks, and insider intel that points to an imminent blockbuster trade, something that, once it's completed, will send shockwaves through the league. And here's the kicker. What's happening now is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a secret, a bigger story lurking beneath the surface. And if you think you know what it is, think again. Because the full picture, it's far more shocking, far more strategic, and far more audacious than anything we've seen in recent memory. Now I need you to pay close attention. This isn't just about watching a player move from one team to another. This is about understanding the chess match behind the scenes, coaches, GMs, ownership, and secret meetings that are shaping the future of the NFL as we speak. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, crush that like, and smash the notification bell. Why? Because what I'm about to reveal to you isn't just news. It's a masterclass in strategic league manipulation. Those who stay inside the loop will have front-row seats to history in the making. But if you're just a casual fan, don't say I didn't warn you. This story will blow your mind. Let's peel back the curtain on what's really happening behind closed doors, starting with the player himself, Bobby Wagner. As of January 27, 2026, Wagner remains a member of the Washington Commanders, but make no mistake. The whispers, the signals, the intel, everything points to a seismic shift in his future. Wagner, at 35, is still one of the most elite run-stuffers in the league, but his cover skills, an area once his signature, have declined sharply. His age, his recent history, and the market dynamics all point toward his imminent departure. But it's not just about age or stats, it's about the bigger picture. His leadership, his veteran presence, and the way he fits into a team with a newly hired coaching staff that's desperate to shake things up. That staff, led by John Harbaugh, who was brought in a move that's sending shockwaves through the league. The Giants, folks, just fired Brian Daboll after a disastrous 4-13 season, and in a bold pivot, they've brought in the legendary John Harbaugh. They're rebuilding, retooling, and aiming for a cultural reset. Harbaugh isn't just some stopgap. He's a proven winner, a master of discipline, and a coach who demands respect. He's already assembling a staff filled with Ravens holdovers, with a focus on defense, particularly on creating a tough, aggressive, no-nonsense identity that's the antithesis of their recent struggles. And guess what? That's where Bobby Wagner comes into play. But why Wagner? Why now? Because the Giants see him as the missing piece, a veteran linebacker who can immediately elevate their run defense, stabilize the middle of the field, and set the tone for a roster in desperate need of leadership. But more than that, they see his veteran presence as a key to unlocking their potential. And from what sources tell me, the Giants are willing to make a bold move. They are prepared to part with draft capital to restructure contracts and to do whatever it takes to bring Wagner into the fold. The question is, how will this all play out? And what's the real reason behind this potential blockbuster? Let's analyze that. First, the Giants' current roster, promising young players like quarterback Jackson Dart, receiver Malik Nabers, and edge rusher Dexter Lawrence, are all promising pieces, but they lack that veteran linebacker who can anchor the defense. Wagner brings not just tackles, but intangibles, a football IQ that's unmatched, leadership in the locker room, and a clutch presence in big moments. If he's paired with emerging star Abdul Carter, who at 20 years old has all the tools to develop into a top 10 linebacker, imagine the possibilities. The Giants' defense could transform from a rebuilding project into a top-tier unit instantly. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Wagner's film speaks volumes. Remember the 2023 season? He's still elite against the run, taking on blocks, shedding, making tackles in the backfield. His lateral speed might be diminished, but his instincts remain sharp, and his leadership can't be measured on the stat sheet. Advanced metrics show that Wagner's run defense grades remain among the best for players his age, even as coverage stats dip. His tackling consistency, over 130 tackles for the last 11 seasons, is legendary. But what fans forget is that Wagner's coverage limitations are well known. Opponents target him in pass situations. Still, if used correctly, he can be a game wrecker against the run, and that's exactly what the Giants need. Now, how could this trade happen? Let's get into the mechanics. The Commanders, already flush with cap space, are looking to be flexible, especially after veteran re-signings and upcoming drafts. Wagner's current market value? Spotrac estimates around $7.7 million for 1 year, an absolute bargain for a player of his pedigree. The Giants, needing to shed some cap and create flexibility, could leverage a combination of mid-round picks, conditional future picks, and perhaps a veteran or two in exchange. The key. The Seahawks and Rams. Recent dealings show that teams are willing to part with picks if the player provides immediate impact, especially a veteran leader like Wagner. And here's the kicker. The Giants could package a second or third rounder, maybe a conditional future pick, to get Wagner, either for this season or to secure a longer-term deal. The trade could look something like a swap of a mid-round pick, plus a player like T. Crowder, someone teams might view as expendable, and maybe a draft pick swap to sweeten the deal. The NFL trade landscape this offseason is ripe for these kinds of blockbuster deals, especially as teams prioritize veteran leadership and immediate impact over future assets. But how does Wagner fit scheme-wise? Harbaugh's Ravens' defenses were built around aggressive, physical, multi-front schemes. Sound familiar? Wagner's traditional strengths as a middle linebacker, instincts, tackling, leadership, align perfectly with that style. Comparing him to similar players, like Luke Kuechly in his prime or Patrick Willis, Wagner's ability to read plays and fill gaps is unmatched. Despite a slight decline in coverage, he's still a disruptive force in the run game. And with a defense coached by Harbaugh's staff, focused on aggression and discipline, Wagner's presence could be the catalyst for a top-tier run-stopping unit that can carry the team to the playoffs. What about the worst-case scenario? If Wagner's age finally catches up and he's pegged as a liability in coverage, the Giants could see limited value. Yet even then, his leadership and tackling volume are valuable enough to justify the risk. The best case. He revitalizes their defense, takes pressure off secondary players, and becomes a locker room legend. An impact that transcends stats. And with the Giants already investing in young talent, adding a seasoned, proven leader like Wagner could be the final piece that tips the balance. Now I want you to understand the bigger picture. This isn't just about a player moving teams, it's about a league-wide chess match. The Giants, under new leadership and with a new coaching philosophy, are clearly positioning themselves for a swift rebuild. Wagner's arrival could be the catalyst that pushes them into playoff contention in 2026. Meanwhile, the Commanders, with a capable and veteran-laden roster, might be looking to cash in on their veteran assets, preparing for a rebuild of their own. And the media? Oh, they're already circling. Rumors of a Wagner trade are bubbling up on sports radio, social media, and league insiders' chats. But remember, these kinds of moves are always sneaky. The real deal often happens in the shadows, behind closed doors, with the league's insiders whispering in hushed tones. I've spoken to multiple sources, and the consensus is clear. A deal is imminent, perhaps within the next few weeks, right before the NFL Combine or free agency kicks into high gear. So, what's the timeline? Expect the Giants to either make an offer soon or leverage a trade chip to accelerate negotiations. The Commanders, knowing how valuable Wagner still is, will likely wait for the right offer. Yet they're not desperate. The NFL's free agency frenzy will be the perfect stage for this blockbuster to unfold. When it does, you'll see headlines that say Giants acquire veteran linebacker, but behind that headline, a masterstroke, strategic, calculated, and designed to reshape the NFC. In conclusion, this isn't just a rumor. It's a carefully crafted scenario, one that could, in a matter of days or weeks, alter the landscape of the NFL. Bobby Wagner, once seen as a declining star, now stands on the brink of a renaissance, and the Giants are the perfect fit. Imagine him roaming the middle of the field, calling out signals, setting the tone, an archetype of leadership and toughness. If this trade goes down, the Giants aren't just adding a player, they're making a statement. We're here to contend, we're here to dominate, and we're not backing down. Stay locked in. Watch the moves, because when the dust settles, what you'll remember is that this was the trade that changed everything. And that's just the beginning, because the league's secrets are only now starting to spill out. Are you ready for what's coming next? Because I guarantee what I've just laid out is only the tip of the iceberg. The real story? It's still hidden, waiting to explode, and when it does, you'll want to say you knew first.